Disconnected is a sonic design piece of information data that connected to the natural ecology. This design aims to solve environmental problems. The design concept based on noise pollution problems that have impact on wildlife and ecosystem in a specific area. Disconnected project built on many studies of environment to aware the public with the problems of noise pollution. Let's illustrate the journey of our design. Biodiversity. Let's ask ourselves, what is biodiversity and why it's important? Biodiversity refers to all species in the earth, such as fauna, flora, fungi, and bacteria. Biodiversity is important for each ecosystem to work functionally together and to improve our planet. According to the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, the number of species in the Earth approximate vary from 3 million to 100 million. 70% in the world's species is found in just 12 countries. Australia, one of these countries. The number of species in Australia, around 15,638. According to Parks Victoria, that Victoria ecosystem holds countless of organisms, more than 12,000 species of marine animals and planets, which 5,000 of these are native. These species are vital to the functioning of our natural system. Unfortunately, a lot of Victoria native species are under threat due to loss of their habitat. 17% of Victoria is covered by protected national parks. Victoria is the most intensively settled and cleared state in Australia, and much of has been alerted for farming and other human activities. In meso level, Melbourne City is still home to many species of Australian native animals and plants. Despite the industrial and residential development that comes with being a big city, there are 239 species recorded in the city of Melbourne. Also, there are many parks and reserves which consider habitat of native flora and fauna. Public should be aware with this serious threat that have impact on wildlife and the value of biodiversity on the earth. Flagstaff Gardens was one of our study sites for biodiversity. By focusing on birds' communication in this site, also, it is the oldest park in Melbourne. First established in 1862, the gardens are 7.2 hectares and it is listed by Australian Heritage Commission and the Victorian Heritage Register. Flagstaff is rich of tree diversity and flowers, beside the diverse species of fauna and flora, like bird types and possums. It also includes rosebeds, flower, and bell. Around 31 species of birds were detected in the garden. The garden is surrounded by many streets, which can affect the wildlife there, in many reasons, such as traffic noise. At this site, it has been found that birds' communication is affected by noise, which usually less biophonic sound during the day. So, what happens if these species are affected by any reason and decrease? With the increasing of a human activity recently, which caused different types of pollution, that pose serious threat of biodiversity that could kill animals planet, which affect the ecosystem of various species. One type of pollution that it's important to focus on is noise pollution.
Noise pollution is unwanted and disturbing sounds which can interfere with the normal activities of wildlife such as sleeping, communication, and reproduction. Noise pollution can come from many sources such as cars, trucks, motorcycles, people, and electrical machinery. Constant exposure to these noises can have harmful effects on the environment. For instance, many plants rely on birds and other animals to deliver nutrients from one tree to another, but due to excessive noise, some wildlife are seeking more quieter environments. One of the main species of animals that was affected in my recording location of Batula Reserve was the grey-headed flying fox, which is one of 4 flying fox species in Australia and the only one present in Victoria. The species only emerges from their colonies at night to search for food, and they use echolocation to find their way around at night. The same echolocation abilities allow them to find prey. When noise interferes, the bats have difficulty finding food. In fact, experts have found that in noisy areas, Bats are less active, and the constant noise causes chronic stress, including skewed stress hormone levels. The environment that is affected by noise pollution from my recordings is made up of mainly tall trees, which is home to a variety of bird species such as cockatoos, magpies, minor birds, lorikeets, crows, and brush-tailed possums. The constant drone of noise pollution acts as an acoustic blanket, muffling the audio cues birds rely on to detect predators, competitors, and their own species. In suburban areas like this, the bird diversity has been shown to decline as a result of chronic noise levels around main roads. A number of species have demonstrated adjustments to their vocal behaviour in an attempt to adapt to noise pollution levels by raising the frequency of their calls to reduce acoustic masking by predominantly low-frequency urban noise. For precedent research, we looked at the Sonic Project, which is about noise pollution in New York City. This project involved large-scale noise monitoring, whereby they analysed audio recordings and decibel levels to identify the types of sounds heard, as well as what time they were occurring to help understand why such noise pollution was being created. They used audio recordings from microphones to identify each sound and how loud they were. Their analysis techniques go further by looking at how certain traffic sounds correlate to certain traffic patterns, as well as how construction noise near shops affects retail performance. This in-depth analysis helped them identify patterns over long periods of time, which in turn helped them identify strategies to manage sound levels in hotspot areas and provide important data to city agencies for noise mitigation, such as the Department of Environmental Protection. Their end goal extends further than just research. Its goal is to affect and improve everyday life. This project was a research initiative with collaboration between scientists from NYU working with Ohio State University. This project involves collecting ecoacoustic data using audio recordings to investigate the noise pollution and its effect on the environment. The location was a local suburban park that neighbours a main road. The recordings were taken at 3 different times of the day using a Zoom field recorder. The first was at 8 AM, the second was at 12 PM, and the third was at 5 PM. The reason for this was to get an accurate representation of the noise pollution data over the length of the whole day, and so people could hear the variance in data. After analysing the data recorded, I was able to identify the key noise pollution sources, and there I matched them with different synth waveforms and acoustic properties such as frequency, so that when played together they would reflect the thick and loud sound of noise pollution. Lastly, I represented the rhythmic timing of each sound with a synth pluck sound so people could hear how often noise pollution sound occurs. Through our research, we found that birds communicate at a frequency of 2000 Hz, and we reflected the masking effect that occurs at this frequency by lowering the volume of the bird audio to show the effects of noise pollution has on the local wildlife. The purpose of this sonification is to raise awareness and to educate the general public in an area that can be managed more effectively. Here is a sample of the sonification.
This connected visual design inspiration comes from birds' communication and different noise levels. To illustrate the noise pollution impact on biophonic sound, the design reflects our sound composition. We have looked at sound qualities, frequencies, and quantity of noise pollution to see what exactly is colliding with the wildlife sound. Our design aim is to create more public awareness and education about noise pollution threat. We have created sonification from audio data that have been collected from the two sites. This would create an acoustic reflection and observation on how noise pollution affects local wildlife. The installation of the design with the composition will be represented in McLean Sculpture Park, which is located in Victoria. The top part of visual design that designed to reflect the story of birds, communication, and noise over time. The second part is where the equipment will sit, including the speakers, for the sound composition. So, when public see the visual design and listen to the composition, they should understand the problems and be aware of noise pollution threats on various ecosystems in the earth.